Hey everybody, it's Brian Burns and welcome to another episode of Career Advice. Today I want to talk about the inverse of what everyone else talks about as far as career. What you always hear about is just work hard, just go to school and get good grades and do your homework and grind it out and hustle and good things will happen to you. And that it's kind of true, except for one thing. If you're going in the right direction. Let's imagine working or walking or running in the wrong direction. You're going to get somewhere, but is it the place you want to go? And I think people are taking out of the career advice, career strategy, and building of a career that thought process of reflecting about what direction you should really be going. And instead, they get busy, distracted by the hustle and grind and working hard. And don't get me wrong, you do have to hustle, grind, and work hard at no matter what you choose, and no matter how naturally talented you are at it. Because there's a lot of competition out there and there's a lot of change out there. But what people aren't talking about is direction. What direction should you go? And no one talks about it because it's hard, because people don't know. Do I know? I don't know. If I did, I would have put a lot more money into Apple stock than I did, or Bitcoin, no matter how ridiculous it may be or how logical it may be. And I would have, relocated to certain areas of the country sooner, and I would have got into certain industries sooner. Yeah, that's the problem. And that's why we don't do it, is because it's not obvious. And if something seems obvious, the side effect of it is that it probably isn't the right thing. So where does this leave us? Where it leaves us is we've got to look at our natural talents, our natural interests, our natural skills, and we have to look outside of ourselves. Look at the geopolitical economy, what they call macro economic trends and issues that are going on, how technology is impacting the things that we like to do or are good at. I mean, if you're a graphic artist, you better be pretty good, because you got things like Canva that's free and is probably 80 to 90% as good as a B-level graphic artist. Now, there's always creativity, and there's always uniqueness, and there's always artistry to what we do. But if your particular function or role is like a bank teller, you were replaced by an ATM. I finally cut the cord on my cable TV this week, and I was a laggard, and everyone was laughing at me. Oh, you're a laggard on that. And I go, yeah. And why didn't you do it sooner? It was like, I just didn't want to deal with it. And it was just dragging. And a lot of people had said they'd done it 10 years ago. And I don't think my internet speed would have supported it 10 years ago, and I loved TV. When I was a traveling sales guy, when I came home after a trip, there was nothing better than sitting in front of a TV and watching a good movie and catching up on my shows. And I liked that, and I liked that it was relaxing, and it was kind of my way of decompressing. But today, it makes no sense, and those companies have been disrupted, and they're being disrupted again and again, compounding, because there's so much free content out there that there's enough interesting things that are constantly coming out that in different formats at free or near free. So we've got to think of how do we navigate this. And a lot of us, instead of trying to figure it out, we go and hide and get a master's degree. Now, that might be the right thing to do. And I got to tell you, most of the people I know who are either in college or want to go to college aren't really thinking. They're thinking that it is a great ticket to success in life. And I think that's changed. It hasn't changed in certain areas, right? Medicine, it has changed in law. I mean, they have AI being able to do a lot of the deposition or the document analysis type stuff for cases. In medicine, it's going to change as far as like reading x-rays and stuff. AI is going to change a lot of things. And so what things isn't it going to change? What things are technology never going to change? They're never going to change people. People, you would think that there have been cultural changes, but people are still social creatures. Our brains have not kept up with all this technology, in no way. In my field, sales, it's actually fought against us, because what happens is if you're an early adopter of a sales technology, you can rock and roll with it for about 6 to 18 months. But then when it comes mainstream or everyone's kind of doing it, all of a sudden it just doesn't work anymore. A lot like the world of marketing. Marketing has changed so dramatically, every 2 or 3 years, that becoming an expert in one area all of a sudden becomes obsolete in 2 or 3 years. But, on the sales side, I tell companies all the time, it's like, remember, you're forgetting that you're selling to people. And people buy and talk to people that they know, like, and trust, and they don't know you, so they don't like you and they don't trust you. And getting a job is a lot like that, and getting a job and getting into a great company, because this idea that robots are going to rule the world. I think I've heard that since I was a little kid, a long time ago, and I think our kids will be hearing it too. I think that it's overstated in most areas. I don't think we're going to see self-drive. Yes, a car can drive itself, but will it be that smart enough about all the legal issues and stuff? I think we're a ways away from it. It's just my opinion. Who cares what I think? But I would say go to the complex areas that involve people, that involve connecting with people, that involve helping people, that involve technology and people. And why? Maybe this is because this is the area I know. That's all I'm stating. But I would spend a lot of time hustling and grinding on your direction and making sure that it's not just a feel-good direction or a feel-safe direction, but it is a direction that has opportunity and a future. So what you can do is maybe break it down into what type of industry do I fit into? And is it easily outsourced or offshored? Is it just grunt work, or is there some kind of real skill to it, a real technique and approach to it of likability or personalization, where people have a connection with you? Like podcasting is like a connection. We're all curators of information, but we listen to only a few people, right? Even though the people may be saying the same thing. I tell people all the time, it's like, people will buy a course because it's your course, and that's what they're looking for, because they're the student, they got themselves ready, and you appeared as the teacher, and you can help them. So that is always going to be available. Being able to help people learn a new skill, a new technique, a new talent that they can't either learn on their own or in the format that is available, and maybe they need coaching. But today we can do certain things at scale that we couldn't do before, due to travel, due to location and timing, and just sheer size. So I would look at industry, then I would look at company, and then I would start building your network. I mean, this is kind of the most overlooked thing, in that we shelter ourselves behind these little screens, these little phones that we carry around, and we think we're connecting with people, but are we? And there's so much infighting and jealousy and envy, as opposed to empathy and encouragement and camaraderie. I think that's the use of the technology, as opposed to the hatred and the mismatching and the political sharing of it and trying to prove other people wrong and stuff, and the knee-jerk reactions to what you see. So I think that will always be an asset. Your network, and almost every industry and endeavor has a big component of your net worth, because it's often been known that you do not get jobs via your tight connections. You get them through your loose connections, meaning like one level removed. You start sending out feelers, and it's not your close friend that hires you. It's a friend of your close friend, or a friend of theirs, or a relative of theirs. And that network, as you expand it by giving, as opposed to by taking, or just sharing pictures of your dinner or your bikini or whatever you're sharing, is the way to build up that network, and kind of showing your skills, your accomplishments, not in a bragging way, but as a part of your life, as who you are, as a part of your identity, is really helpful. And now these tools can really extend your reach worldwide. So that's super powerful. So I think that's got to be included in your direction. And I think we have to be so much more proactive than we were even 10 years ago, because, the market moves so fast, and people will always hire, somebody they know over somebody they don't know. And that part of the interview process, that part of the connection, or, the filling out of an application, people just see it as characters on their screen. They don't see a human being there. They want social proof. They want somebody to kind of validate your abilities, your skills, your desires, and being able to communicate that is going to become critical. So when you're thinking about, your career strategy, direction is so important. I fight this on my sales podcast all the time, because everyone's out there just talking about, stay psyched, just get up every morning and grind it out. And I get that part, because that is part of it. There's not many Mondays I got up and I go, boy, I feel like running to the airport to stand in a security line for 45 minutes, and then sit on an airplane for 3 hours, and then jump into a rent-a-car so I can then give a presentation to somebody, and then take them out to lunch, and then do it again that afternoon, and collapse in bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night because I was up at 4 a.m. That isn't a natural desire. That you have to kind of build a lifestyle around that. But there were rewards with that too. There was closing large deals and building a business and helping clients was fun. That part was great, and that direction, compared to where I was so much better. And I tried to convince a lot of people to take that direction if it fit their personality and their desires. Because if they took like the retail direction, They could have been up at the same time because, Starbucks opens at 5 o'clock in a lot of cases, 5 in the morning, which means I'm sure you have to be there at 4:30 to turn the coffee machine on. Sometimes they're there. And sometimes I was banging at the window at 5 o'clock trying to get them to open. But, those people, are they any less talented? Are they any less skilled than me? They know different things, or could they not become at the same level as me? Because I wasn't that bright. On the academic side, a total failure. But I understood that once I found out how much salespeople made, that motivated me. I learned how to program a computer when the market was in dire need of people to do that, so that I ended up in the right direction. And I think that was the catalyst of my career, was getting into the right industry, and then relocating to a place where the desire and the demand was so high that obviously was. Sometimes I picked the right company. Sometimes I didn't. I picked a couple duds, honest to God, and I did mostly startups. So there was an army of duds to pick from. So my message today is spend some time on direction. Don't get lost in the hustle and grind. You will have to do it. So don't think you can just get away from it, but make sure you're running in the right direction, not just running. Because this is not physical cardio. If it's just cardio, it doesn't matter where you're going, as long as you can find your way home. But in your career, it matters, because the time cannot be recaptured. Not 1 second of it. It just can't. Not 1 second of it can be recaptured. So please take that to heart. Please think about that direction. Investigate, spend some time on it, and don't just hide by, taking a class or going to school. Do it purposefully, maximize it, minimize any kind of waste. And I don't see exploration as waste. I see, just filler type things as waste. I don't see relaxation as waste, but you'll know waste. Waste is when you did it and the next day you go, I shouldn't have done that. And that's a personal thing, and it's a judgment call that each of us has to make, because you can't get 1 second back. And the direction is critical. If you're looking to get into sales, or you think sales might be the right thing for you, check out my Brutal Truth About Sales and Selling podcast. I have a course to help people get into sales. It's called Sales Development Rep Graduate School. It could take people from no sales experience, but just a desire, to all the way to get a job and be successful at an entry-level role. And these roles start at $40K a year base salary with a $80K target. Some companies require a graduate degree. The function does not. The job does not. And you could basically make it a work-from-home career in some cases. Entrepreneurs, it's basically about setting up meetings, getting conversations started within companies, business-to-business companies. Sounds scary, right? But it isn't. It's all, a little bit of phone work, but mostly it's email and social connections, being a human being. I have developed a system that I've been able to teach people how to do it based off of science, based off of how people like to communicate. It's very simple. It takes a little practice because it's not natural. We're used to pitching. But if you're interested in that, check it out at b2brevenue.com. Just register there, and you can look at all the classes if they make sense for you or somebody you know. Thanks for listening. I hope I haven't ruined your hustle and grind strategy.